Hi everyone. How you doing? If you're in the United States or you celebrate happy belated Independence Day, that was our holiday yesterday here in the States where we celebrate our Declaration of Independence from Great Britain, where the United States became its own place, self-governed. In fact, let's talk about that. What is independence? What does that even mean? Um, well, you look up independence, it refers you to independent, and that is not subject to control by others. You feel like this has some relevance to the cryptocurrency space, to the Bitcoin space, particularly not being controlled by others. This is what Bitcoin was all about at the invention of this entire whole category. It was about having money that couldn't be manipulated or confiscated or controlled by other people. And as it turns out, this is really important. Having money that you actually control, having money that's not politicized, having money that can't be stolen or confiscated. I believe that we're going to get to a place where the Bitcoin white paper is going to be regarded as a just absolute epic, groundbreaking, sea change piece of history. Just as Martin Luther's 95 Theses that he created started the Protestant Revolution, this is going to be a historic document that utterly changed everything, just as the United States Declaration of Independence changed everything. Happy Independence Day. Become ungovernable, my friends. Get your Bitcoin in self-custody if you haven't already. And if you haven't already, then what the heck is going on with you? Because please, what rock have you been living under? It's not safe any other way. Clearly it's not safe. We're going to talk about how this spreading contagion, contagion is the word that Scott Melker likes to use. Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets, a commentator and trader in the space. He calls it a contagion. We're going to be talking about Scott in a little bit. In the midst of this incredible historic drawdown, there's some interesting things going on. Bitcoin has had its worst monthly price performance since 2011, trading down 37.9% in June alone. Lackluster on-chain activity indicates a near-complete purge of fair-weather investors has taken place, leaving only hodlers to hold the line. So this is from Glassnode. Glassnode is saying that the fair weather fans have all left. That it's basically the hodlers who are around now. Which, if that's true, that would indicate a bottom, right? If the speculators are all gone, the people who are saying like, "Oh, I think I can do a quick flip. I think I can make a quick buck, get rich." If the only people left are the people who believe in this technology and its long-term utility and value, then we are at the bottom. But another word that you hear all the time in this space is capitulation. Capitulation is when you hit the bottom. But why do we use the word capitulation? I think it's when people finally break. And one of the indicators that I think happens when you capitulate, when the market capitulates, is not just that you sell and you give up and you walk away. I think what happens is you give up trying to predict what's going to come next. Is it going to go down? Is it going to go back up? Are we at the bottom? I think one form of capitulation is to say, I don't care. I don't care. Maybe we're at the bottom. Maybe not. Maybe we're going way further south. Maybe we're going to stay at this level for the next 2 years. One form of capitulation is to say, I don't care. I'm holding. I'm not going away. Rather than saying, yeah, I think that's it. I think we're done. I think it's going to go north now, to the moon. Yeah, to the moon, laser eyes, 6 figures. If you stop doing that and you say like, listen, things suck right now. They're terrible, but I don't care. I'm holding and I'm sticking around. I think that's actually a really good indicator. That's a form of capitulation. At least that's how I feel about it. That might not be what other people mean when they talk about capitulation, but I think the two go hand in hand. Some groups will sell and move on. Others will say, I'm not moving on no matter what. In the midst of all this, interesting things happening from Lark Davis, the crypto Lark. Huge sat stacking by small accounts. This is interesting. Who is accumulating right now? People who have less than one Bitcoin or wallets with less than one Bitcoin, in the nomenclature, these are shrimp. They've had a net positive change. They've gone up over time. So while the price has gone down, people are holding on to Bitcoin, but they're shrimp, right? They don't have huge bags. They're just people who are like, well, I guess I'm going to buy now while the price is down. You can also have some other records. Bitcoin is currently moving from weak hands to strong hands, thus building the foundation for the next bull run. I meant to have this tab earlier. Building the foundation for the next bull run. Who's driving that? We got the shrimp who have less than one Bitcoin, and we have, here we go, addresses with more than one Bitcoin. There are now 878,357 addresses with more than one Bitcoin. That is also a new all-time high. So the number of addresses engaged here with less than and more than one Bitcoin, all-time highs. Another analysis that I don't have in a tab right now is that the very small hodlers and the whales are accumulating. It's the middle ground that have been weak hands, which is interesting. People probably who are middle class America who have investment assets who thought, oh, I'll move some money into Bitcoin. I hear good things about Bitcoin, and then the market goes down, and they're like, oh, never mind. I'm going to move my money back. The plebs are the people with very little, right? They have nothing to lose. They know the existing system doesn't work very well for them, and they're going to buy into something new that promises a better future. Not just better returns, but a better future for them and for broadly. I think the people at the bottom of the socioeconomic spectrum are not real excited about the existing financial monetary regime. And then you have whales. You have people with lots of money, and those are the people who are looking at the existing regime, the existing financial monetary infrastructure, and saying, this is old, and it's broken, and it's on its last legs. So this is like the Midwit meme, you guys. My favorite meme, honestly. Midwit meme. I want to frame this and put it on my wall. Honestly, it's so good. The Midwit meme, where the idiot and the genius actually hold the same opinion. And it's these folks in the middle who overthink or underthink, and they come to some other conclusion. We're seeing this exact same thing play out in the Bitcoin space with the shrimps who have record high exposure, and we have the whales with record high exposure. The midwits are not winning. I really am. I'm going to frame that and put it on my wall. It's my absolute favorite meme. Coming back over here. Become ungovernable. Records being broken. We've got small accounts. We've got large accounts. We also have the largest Bitcoin exchange outflow on record. Again, this is from Lark Davis. This is a record outflow of money from exchanges, which makes sense given the current, shall we say, volatile environment. People are freaking out about exchanges and long-term places to store their Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and rightfully so. Oh, this is also another record that's happening right now. Lightning Network capacity is at an all-time high. So the Lightning Network, L2, on top of Bitcoin just continues to grow. This is something that I'm very bullish on. I'm very excited about layer 2 networks on top of Bitcoin. I think that's where the future lies. Ethereum and other blockchains just have problems that I will never be comfortable with. I will never be like, yeah, okay, they solved it. I don't see any path to that happening. Those ecosystems are fragmented. They do not serve the end users. They don't have the same ideological underpinnings. I like a lot of the ideas, but they just don't have a strong foundation. You have to have sound money underneath all of it if your monetary system's going to work. And Ethereum and others don't have that. Bitcoin does. So building on top of Bitcoin with things like Lightning Chain or Lightning Network and Web 5, as Jack Dorsey or others are talking about, TBD. There are these layer 2 networks being built on top of Bitcoin that I'm very eager to dive into and learn more about. I'll be making videos on those soon. People are leaving exchanges, as we said before. Let's look at some of that. Why are people leaving? Well, because the contagion is not over. Another crypto lender, Vald, pauses withdrawals as market crash takes its toll. This happened on the 4th of July, Independence Day. And when I saw this, I don't have any money in Vald. I've never been involved in Vald, but I had a full-on literal jaw drop, like gasp, jaw drop, because Scott Melker has been sponsored by and has been a vocal advocate for Vald for a long time, including during this contagion. After Celsius went down, after Voyager and BlockFi looked like they were probably done, he continued to say, I have money in Vald and I trust them. And then yesterday they paused all withdrawals. I haven't watched all of this video yet from Scott Melker, from the Wolf of All Streets, but I've watched enough to hear him say he's lost millions of dollars in this collapse, this spreading contagion of institutions that are pausing withdrawals and screwing over their depositors. Yikes! It's interesting to see the cryptocurrency space speed run the development of the current banking system, right? We're making a lot of the same mistakes. The reason we have the banking infrastructure we have is because of prior collapses and regulations and modifications that were made to the system to try to address those problems. A string of dominoes that all fall down and topple institution after institution. This happened at the end of the 18th century. That's how we got centralized banking at the beginning of the 20th century, because they were trying to figure out a way to prevent this exact thing from happening, and now we're doing it in the blockchain space. Same thing. The only thing that changes this is different perspective and different behavior from the people involved. And human nature being what it is, if you're trying to maximize your returns, if you're trying to get more control and more money, you're probably going to make the same choices that the people before you did. The only ones who evade this are the Bitcoiners who hold in self-custody. That is a fundamentally different behavior and different dynamic than having a centralized third party control your money and, pay you a small interest, but lend out your deposits to other people. Rehypothecation is not new. That's what that is. And we're seeing the problems with it. The Bitcoiners who talked about this being a serious problem a year ago, 2 years ago, however many years ago, I hadn't heard that word, rehypothecation, before a year or two ago. And when I heard people talk about it, it seemed very theoretical. It seemed like a hypothesis that maybe under certain circumstances this bad thing could happen. Well, we've just seen that hypothesis play out fully, in reality, inescapably, destroying the financial lives of millions of people and wiping out some depositors for millions of dollars and billions, right? These institutions had billions of dollars under management. I'm legitimately sorry, Scott Melker. I, honest to goodness, was shocked when I saw that Vald was pausing all withdrawals, and I felt bad for them. One group that seems to be getting out of this intact is Nexo, and I don't know how they're doing it. Nexo has offered to buy Vald, and the market is, consolidating. BlockFi is going to get purchased. Somebody's going to buy them up in a fire sale. Voyager might get bought up in a fire sale. And Nexo did the same thing with Celsius. Said they were going to buy him out. Celsius, for their part, is interesting. Alex Mashinsky, I've talked about him before and how he's like this elder statesman of decentralized networks. And he had all the right rhetoric about not your keys, not your coins. You need to be able to access your money. The banks are not on your side. He had all the right rhetoric, but then he ended up building this incredibly unstable institution. They have not had a lot of outward-facing communication since they paused withdrawals. I suspect that Alex Mashinsky is trying to do right by his depositors, but is fighting a pretty serious fight behind the scenes to make sure that he can get capital in place to preserve the institution, to not get bought out. Here's another person who's facing the problem of centralized, politicized money. Puerto Rico, this is from Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff, the perma bear on Bitcoin. No matter how much Bitcoin's price rises over the years, he's always against Bitcoin. He believes that gold is money of the future, which is literally laughable. Gold is being demonetized right before our eyes, but Peter Schiff will never admit it. But he might. He might after this episode. Peter Schiff owned a bank in Puerto Rico. Did you know this? I did not know this. He doesn't own it anymore. From Peter Schiff, Puerto Rico put my bank into receivership due to insolvency, big air quotes, insolvency. The bank has no debt, no loans, and enough cash to fully cover all deposits. A qualified buyer is offering me $17.5 million for the bank plus $7 million in new capital. Who pays $24.5 million for an insolvent bank? The only explanation is the IRS and J5, I don't know who J5 is, the IRS and J5 blocked the sale so they could use the closure of my bank as a successful example of their crackdown on money laundering and tax evasion, even though their own investigation proved the bank did nothing to facilitate any financial crimes. So, what's going on here? A lot of capital has fled to Puerto Rico, where taxation laws are much more generous. So Peter Schiff has opened a bank there, but now the IRS is cracking down on that. And even though they can't find him violating any rules, they're going to figure out some way to shut him down, and this is it. He's not insolvent, not really, but they're telling him that he is and that he's not allowed to operate anymore. Do you think Peter Schiff maybe realizes that literally Bitcoin fixes this? If he didn't figure that out on his own, the people in the comments sure let him know. He's been engaging with people in this thread. It's been interesting. One of the responders is Peter McCormick. I'm going to get his name wrong. The podcaster, the guy who creates What Bitcoin Did. He said, you know how you keep saying that Bitcoin doesn't have a use case? This is the use case, guys. It's money. It's money. It doesn't have to do other things. It needs to be money and be better money than anybody else can make money. It is a absolutely groundbreaking achievement in what is money. And if it can do that, and it has been, and it is, but by doing that, it doesn't have to do much else. Yes, there are going to be L2s, and I'm actually, like I said, very excited about the L2s that will create all kinds of other utility on top of Bitcoin, but you have to have sound money at the bottom of it all. Is the US dollar sound money? No, it is political money. It is a coupon that the government lets you use according to their terms. Is gold good money? I mean, historically, yes, it had been, but none of our modern systems take advantage of it. We live in a digital age, and shiny rocks don't work quite as well as they used to. Anyway, people are saying like, well, Peter, if this doesn't orange pill you, then I don't know what will. Stop complaining and buy Bitcoin. We'll see if he changes his tune. I'm kind of doubtful. I think being anti-Bitcoin is a huge part of Peter's brand and identity, and I don't think he's going to change that. From Bitcoin Magazine, just in, Binance CEO will meet with the Ivory Coast president today, even during this bear market. You're going to see the work move on by the people who stay in the space and by the sovereigns who are interested in getting away from the US dollar. Because, and here's why, imagine being a country that has adopted the US dollar as a currency, and then Jay Powell, the president of the Federal Reserve, comes along and prints $16 trillion in 2 years, and you can't do anything about it. That's why countries will opt out of Bitcoin like Nayib Bukele did. Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador. Bukele is just ahead of the curve, you guys. He's way ahead of the curve, and actually it can be really hazardous to be way ahead of the curve, to go out there on your own. But if he can get out there and bring others to the cause of Bitcoin, if he can orange pill some other sovereigns, as we see happening slowly but surely, CZ, the founder and CEO of Binance, will meet with the president of the Ivory Coast, then we could see a tipping point. There could be a mad rush. Huge move in dollar strength today. This is from Stack Hodler on Twitter. Gained 10% against the ruble, strongest against the euro since 2002. Emerging markets are getting crushed, and inflation is sending people into the streets. The Fed is breaking the world. An alternative monetary system is needed. Hashtag Bitcoin. These sovereigns who have their own dollars, they have their own dollars or they have US dollars. They're getting screwed no matter what. This is a system that doesn't work for them no matter how it's handled. It's already broken. It would be reasonable for them to be looking for something else. And these smaller nations, that's one of the criticisms. Like, oh, Ivory Coast. Nobody cares about Ivory Coast. Nobody cares about Nayib Bukele and El Salvador. It's like, read The Innovator's Dilemma, guys. This is basically the textbook for Silicon Valley innovation. Innovation comes from the fringes. And people in, existing monetary structures who don't deal with technological innovation, they may not really appreciate this. They may not be aware of this mechanic. Innovation filters in from the fringes because those are the people who have nothing left to lose, and they'll try anything if it works even a little bit, even if it works inefficiently. Read The Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton Christensen, a brilliant man. May he rest in peace. This is a meme about Bitcoin maximalism, Bitcoin toxicity. So Bitcoin is the best money. It exhibits durability, portability, fungibility, scarcity, divisibility, and recognizability. So should I buy other crypto like Ethereum, Cardano, XRP? No, those are scams meant to take your Bitcoin. Stop being so toxic. This is somebody claiming to be, that the toxic title doesn't fit. This is a straw man argument. There are plenty of actually toxic maximalists out there. People who are like, have fun staying poor and like, have a huge amount of schadenfreude from people who lose huge sums of money. Going back to what we were talking about before, Scott Melker, a big educator in the space, he's just lost a ton of money. I don't feel good about Scott Melker losing money. I don't feel good about anybody losing money. I think there are genuinely people here who are like, yeah, burn it all down. They're excited to see the destruction around them. They're excited to see institutions falling. That's toxic maximalism, you guys. Even if you think it's necessary, right? Even if you think this is the only way that we have to be purged with fire, you shouldn't be excited about it. You shouldn't be happy that people are getting burned. You should be apologetic. If it's necessary pain, then it's necessary. But I don't think you need to be celebrating when other people are hurting. That's toxic maximalism. Here's something else that recently happened. Celsius paid off $120 million in Bitcoin loans. Their new liquidation price is $4,966. So Bitcoin would have to get to below 5K for Celsius to get liquidated and wiped out. So they have, I don't know how, this is what I was talking about. Alex Mashinsky is fighting a battle to keep his institution independent and solvent. And I don't know how he's doing it. He's getting this money from somewhere. He's shuffling funds around. Maybe he's getting money from friends. Maybe he's paying it himself, right? He was a fabulously wealthy individual personally. He's a billionaire. Somehow he's managing to keep them alive, if barely. And if you go on the Celsius subreddit, they're like, everybody there is like rooting for him. And they're like, we believe in you. We're with you, Alex. I want to give this guy a big hug. So that's good. That's good of them. That being said, I hope they survive. I hope Alex can pull through on this. Alex Mashinsky, CEO of Celsius. I hope that the depositors can be made whole, but also I hope people are learning the hard lessons here. That maybe, just maybe, you got to get on the Bitcoin train. Yeah. I know I'm back and forth. I'm criticizing maximalists, but now I'm saying you have to get on the Bitcoin train. That's the weird middle ground I inhabit as a Bitcoin mostimalist. I really think that the story is around Bitcoin. The story is around self-custody. The story is around decentralization. And these aren't just flowery ideas. They're necessities. They're essential for us to be able to move forward in a constructive fashion. Theory, and I thought this was a valid theory, the next Bitcoin bull run will be blamed for causing double-digit core CPI price level inflation in the US. And then they will try to fight it with CBDC or something dumb like that. CBDC meaning central bank digital currency. The Biden administration has been blaming like oil companies for the increase in the price of gas. Like greedy oil companies, like they just became suddenly much more greedy. It has nothing to do with the trillions of dollars that have been created ex nihilo in the last couple years. No, definitely. It's that suddenly oil companies became a lot more greedy. I shouldn't be surprised by this. Politicians are separated from reality and they have high motivation to spin everything and make it sound like nothing's their fault. But I am actually shocked at how far the Biden administration takes this. They utterly, utterly refuse to acknowledge plain as day realities. Obvious, in the middle of the noon sun realities. They will just be like, that's not happening. Sorry, that's fake. And I guess the Trump administration did the same kind of thing, right? Fake news. Oh, it's fake news. But I'm just shocked. Like, how do we not have people who are more willing to say what is clearly in front of them? They won't do it. We don't have serious people running the United States of America. Other countries do. And frankly, it's kind of scary sometimes. I think the Chinese have much more serious people running their government. Where in the United States, it's like it's a clown show. These are not even smart people. They're really not. From Bitcoin Sapiens on Twitter, my light went out. Did you guys notice that? Does it matter? Maybe I don't even need that light. Bitcoin Sapiens, the how of Bitcoin is science, economics, mathematics, cryptography, thermodynamics, game theory, and evolutionary biology. The why of Bitcoin is freedom. That's from Robert Breedlove. Robert Breedlove runs the What is Money podcast, and man, he is more willing to spend time on the deep, deep philosophy of that than most other people are. The how of Bitcoin is science, definitely. Economics, of course. Mathematics, yep. Cryptography, of course. Thermodynamics. This is interesting. He's talking about Bitcoin's energy production and proof of work. Game theory, yeah, that one fits. And evolutionary biology. What does he mean by evolutionary biology? I would have said evolutionary psychology there a bit. That seems a bit more apropos. But why are we applying all of these? Why are we taking all of these fields of study? Because people want to be free, and they should be. This is ongoing. The sell short squeeze is trending. I don't know how real this is, but I thought it was worth bringing up. I looked at the price of sell, and it has gone up and down a bit. It's been volatile, but we haven't seen it, an obvious short squeeze like we did with GameStop or with AMC. Another 150,000 sell leaves FTX, bringing their balance to nearly 4 million. The sell short squeeze is taking place right before our very eyes. A massive buy of 2 million sells on the way. That will leave a gaping hole in the FTX balance sheet. They're trying to short squeeze the shorters. People have shorted the sell token. And who knows, I've said this before, but I didn't do it. I said I might buy some sell just for fun. I still have not done it. Maybe I'll chip in a little bit just to be, get some skin in the game a little bit so I can pay attention and see what's going on. Could be fun. But that's really all I would be buying for is it would be for fun to see that this could play out and stick it to the short sellers. Who knows? Circle's USD coin on track to topple Tether USDT as the top stablecoins in 2022. This has been coming for a long time. The trend has been with USDT to decline and trust in that going down significantly. People don't really trust USDT as having the backing that it purports to have. They've been found to be lying many times over. And that presents a huge systemic risk similar to what we've seen over the last couple months. If something happened to USDT, it would be catastrophic for the entire space. USD coin, on the other hand, is a much more trusted entity. It's backed by Coinbase and others, And I noticed in this article from Cointelegraph, they embedded the same tweet that we talked about a couple days ago. Everyone is talking about bearish things, but most of them haven't left the crypto market. They're just waiting for the bottom. Bitcoin market cap decreased by 70% from the top, while stablecoins went down by just 11%. So again, people aren't really leaving the space so much as they are waiting for the right point to put their capital back into Bitcoin. They're just parked in stablecoins. And increasingly, that stablecoin is USDC, not USDT. So interesting development. That has been, people have been predicting that for a very long time. Months, a year. The trend lines have been pretty clear. Mike Alfred said, I've seen tens of thousands of people leave Ethereum and become Bitcoiners, but I can't think of a single person who left Bitcoin to commit all of their time to ETH. That ought to tell you something. I think there's a bit of bias here. Mike probably runs in certain circles and meets certain people. If he was an ETH head, he probably would know those people who left Bitcoin to follow ETH, because they definitely do exist, certainly if their finances benefit from it. Brian Armstrong, after he couldn't change the Bitcoin protocol, definitely went much more all in on altcoins and ETH and things built on top of that. He used to be a Bitcoin is the only one that matters kind of guy. If not a Bitcoin maximalist, at least a Bitcoin mostimalist. He said Bitcoin is really where it's at. He doesn't say that anymore. And it's because Coinbase relies on being able to do transactions for all of these other casino tokens. It's how they make their money. His personal success relies on pushing this other direction, which is too bad. And of course, the Midwit meme, my very favorite. I'm going to get a flowing, flowery, golden frame and frame this with a little gold plaque at the bottom that says the Midwit. I love it. I think about this probably way more than most people. Don't overthink things, friends. This is actually why somebody like a maximalist can succeed. They're not overthinking it. And if you do overthink it a ton, if you dig really deep on the philosophy of this stuff, what is money? You end up in the same spot that Robert Breedlove is in, where money has to have certain qualities. And as it turns out, Bitcoin is the best money ever invented. You got Robert Breedlove over here with that brown hood on the right. You got a whole bunch of plebs on the left. And then you've got the midwits in the middle who are playing with other coins and tokens and telling you that money is whatever we want it to be. It really is not. It really isn't. Don't be the midwit. It's fine to be the pleb, actually. Be the pleb. You just got to make the right choice here. Don't overthink it. All right, team. That's what I got today. It's never a boring day in Bitcoin. My condolences to Scott Melker and Peter Schiff. Don't be the midwit, you guys. Stick with Bitcoin. Stick with self-custody. We need to talk about not just the why, but the how. I need to do videos on how to be more self-sovereign, how to be more ungovernable. Be ungovernable. Happy belated Independence Day. We'll talk again soon.